You can be creative and you can use your creativity, but you can also um, add various flavors and various tastes to your food. So there's a lot of benefits to doing beans and rice the way Tim does.
Well, the other thing is that you can cook it more in bulk. You know, you can
Correct.
make a big pot, and you know, you can reheat it afterwards. If you're going to cool something down, you have to cool it down to 40 degrees or below, maybe 40 to 35 degrees, so that you know, foodborne illness doesn't happen because of bacteria growth. And then you reheat it to about 165 degrees. I know it sounds like a real lot, but you know, put it up high, make sure you stir it, and just get it to that temperature. And in this way, you know that you've killed all bacteria. And it's just a you know, thing in nature that bacteria loves food, just like we do. The seasonings, by the way, that I put in here, I put in cumin. The Cubans like, just like the Mexicans, they like oregano, so there's a decent amount of oregano. I put a little bit of cayenne pepper, salt, and pepper. And so that's what it looks like. And there are Cuban black beans. I also want to tell you that when you cook rice stovetop, then you're going to make it 2 parts of broth or water to 1 part rice. Then what I like to do is I start mine with cold water. And the other thing is you want to make sure that you rinse your rice real well, get that starch out of there. So you get the water in there, let's say 2 cups of water or 2 cups of broth, chicken broth, beef broth, vegetable broth. And then you put the rice in there, bring it to a boil, let it boil for a minute, turn it way down to a low simmer, cover it, and you're going to cook that, you know, honestly about, you know, depending, probably 12 to 16 minutes, something around there. And of course, you want to taste it and see whether the rice kernels have softened to the point that they're not soggy, but they're not al dente. The other thing I put in there is I put a bay leaf in. I personally like a bay leaf and a tablespoon of butter. And it's just, you know, so 2 parts of whatever liquid, 1 part rice. I put in 1 bay leaf. I like to use chicken or vegetable stock, a little salt and pepper.
So not like a gallon of butter?
No, not a gallon of butter. Well, you know, I mean, if you're related to Paula Deen, you would, and that's just a respectful thing. That's not a diss.
So let's go on to our life point number 1. It is, in our uncertain world, who can you rely on? And it is Isaiah 9:6, especially for the Christmas season. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall rest upon his shoulders. And his name shall be Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Well, relying on ourselves sometimes seems safer, and it seems like an easier route. But in the end, God has the whole story and the whole plan. So that is why we want to rely on God, because we don't know our end. He does.
And in Luke chapter 2, one thing I love is when the angel came down and told Mary that she was going to conceive this child, that his name, and she would name him she would name him Emmanuel, which is God with us. And I know there's plenty of times, if not every day, that I'm glad that he is Emmanuel, that he is with us.
Yes.
So next up are charro beans. And of course, we live in Texas and we know charro beans.
Yes.
I happen to like my charro beans to have really good flavor. You know, you go to some restaurants and they're not quite as flavorful, others, you know, that have decent flavor. And so there's a little more flavor and a few more ingredients in charro beans than there are in classic, you know, Cuban black beans. So once again, I'm starting the same way. I put oil in a heated pan. I'm going to bring the heat up just a little bit. Remember, over medium heat until it gets hot and starts to ripple. And when you do this, because you're going to say, that Chef Tim is kind of a weird dude, you're going to see it ripple. And again, another thing I will do, just to make sure, is I'll take a piece of whatever I'm going to saute, and I'll put it in there, and I wait for that little dance. I like to call it the onion dance in the oil, or the pepper dance in the oil. If you're cooking fish, or you're
Shouldn't
cooking...
it be the Macarena?
It could be the Macarena, you know? And so if you're cooking like a piece of fish, you're going to saute a piece of fish or a piece of chicken, then you can just dip the end, the tail piece, just see if it sizzles.
So let me ask you, with the beans, you have I know lentils are different because we did it last time and hope you watched that one. But with all beans, and it's dry beans, when you soak, do you soak all beans? Black beans,
Yeah.
pinto beans, all of the beans that we're
Yeah,
talking
all the
about?
beans. I mean, lima beans, navy beans, canela beans. Yeah,
And what does
exactly.
the softening do?
Well, the
exactly?
water starts to penetrate them, and it doesn't take quite as long for them to cook. And I will say that the one bean that you really, really want to sift through, I don't know why they are specific to this, but black beans, they always say, and they call them turtles, by the way. When I grew up in the culinary world, they call them turtles. But in black beans, they tend to have little pebbles in them. Now, I don't know if they grow differently from pinto beans and navy, I have no idea. But if you have dry black beans, you want to sift through them and kind of take your hands and literally let them sift through your hand and see if there's these little these little pebbles. So anyway, my oil is nice and hot. And
Come on
go.
in and visit us.
And I'm going to put the onions in there. Like I said, that oil is really, it's really doing its thing. Now, I told you there's more ingredients in charro beans, at least the ones that, that I make. So I get the onions going, and I'm going to add some bacon. Now, in this case, to make it a little healthier, I have turkey bacon.
But you can add ham.
Yeah, you can add ham. Sometimes they put, in beans, it's really classic to put a ham hock in there. But, I like to put turkey bacon or regular bacon in there and let it just, you don't want it to be crisp. You just want to bring out that nice flavor. So I'll let that sit for just, once again, a couple of minutes. And I can see it just starting to brown on the edges. So next I'm going to add green bell pepper.
And I noticed you sliced that bell pepper kind of small. Is there a reason?
I just, when I eat something like beans, I want to make sure that everything's about the same size. Sometimes you might chunk it a little bit larger, like in soups. You wouldn't cut them this small. You would chunk them maybe about, a ½ inch or so. So I've added the green bell pepper, serrano peppers or jalapeno peppers, or once again, you want to get a little spice in there, and some chopped garlic.
Which are so inexpensive. I mean,
Yeah.
Jalapenos are 30 cents, maybe a jalapeno, and lasts quite a while.
So everything's starting to sizzle and do that happy dance in the oil. Here again, the dry seasoning I'm putting in with those vegetables and the bacon.
And you put a bay leaf in there?
No.
You crushed up a bay leaf? No?
No.
I saw crushed up spices, so I was wondering what that was.
No, okay, so this has, that's a good question. Cumin, chili powder, and salt and pepper. And that's all.
I didn't
oregano. And you'll see that they start to cook very quickly. So at this point, I'm going to add the pinto beans. Again, mix everything together. Every time you add an ingredient, mix it all together.
So a lot of times when people do beans, there's a lot of water in the beans. And it seems like there wouldn't be a lot of flavor. The way you're doing it, I think, yes, I watched him cook.
I've rinsed them very well.
I watched him cook, but I just am observing this because I know a lot of times in my family, they add a lot, like when you go to Mexican food restaurants, they add a lot of liquid to the beans.
It's your choice. It's your choice. If you want them to be a little more soupy, then you add a little more broth. And if you don't, then just rinse them and drain them real well. And once again, all canned vegetables, all canned beans, you want to drain, and then you want to rinse real well over cold water so you get all of the residual liquids that it's stored in. It's not bad, but it does have preservatives and it taints the flavor, not taints, it changes the flavor a little bit. This gets it back to its natural flavor. The next thing I'm going to add is, by name brand, everybody knows it as Rotel, and you can get them generic and they're exactly the same thing, and that is diced tomatoes and green chilies. Again, it gives it a little bit of spice. And I always tell you, mix all the ingredients.
Yeah, it looks delicious.
You turn the heat off. This is one thing that people don't realize is when you put in any kind of fresh herb, in this case it's cilantro. Cilantro is what gives charro beans their final, that's a pièce de resistance. And you put it in not while it's cooking. You want fresh herbs to go in at the very end, almost they steep like a tea bag. So, because if you put it in while it's cooking, then it's really gonna cook out a lot of the flavor. So I'm putting it in the very end, and all I do is mix it up, and even that, oh man, the flavor of the cilantro that goes in there at the very end, it just keeps that nice cilantro flavor. I don't even know how to, it's kind of an herbaceous flavor, so. And really that's it, salt and pepper to taste, and I always put that in the end. And you got some nice flavor.
You put salt and pepper in the end too?
So with these I would, yeah. With these I would. I have all the other seasonings, the chili powder and the cumin, and I put a little salt and pepper in the end. And there you go. And that is charro beans, classic Mexican charro beans.
Smells delicious. So our life point number 2 is, what is the real reason to celebrate Christmas? And what is the scripture? Luke 2:11. Today in the city of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Lord, Christ the Lord. And Tim said 2:10, which was the Emmanuel. Christmas is important because it's a celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, who came to redeem all of mankind. On that day, God sent his one and only Son on earth to take the sins of the world, the past, present, and the future. Christmas is a day of remembrance and of worship. Don't forget to celebrate the true meaning of Christmas, which is Jesus is the reason for the season. And we want to remember that when we're focused on buying gifts for people, bringing some prayer into what we're buying and how do we affect their lives, and just keeping the center as Jesus is the reason. It's a really nice way to celebrate Christmas and keep it focused in the right direction.
It's a great time of year. And yes, we all like receiving presents, and we like driving up and down the street and seeing all the Christmas lights and all that. My favorite part of living in East Texas is it's a place that the manger and the American flag are everywhere. And that really, last Christmas, my first Christmas here, I got emotional because there wasn't any question about, first of all, what is this season all about? You can say Merry Christmas. Not that we don't say Happy Holidays, but it's really such an important thing that this is what this country was built on. And when I moved up here, and actually the first manger I saw was the one right there at Elkhart, right at the intersection.
Oh, wow.
It's the first one I saw, and I was like, man, that's cool. And it was up pretty early, so it was getting us ready. And last time I checked, in Isaiah 7:14, it says, get ready because, a virgin will birth the next king, or the king, anyway.
Well, like you always say, you hate when people take the Christ out of Christmas and they put Xmas, and we have to remember to keep that in the center.
Yeah, keep Christ in Christmas.
Because you put the X, you take the X and like you're Xing Christ out.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not just the abbreviation. It's like, what does an X stand for? So it's really one of my favorite things about living in this area.
I will never do that again.
So moving on, we're going to make, now to make chili, I blend both of the, and this is, see, we had a youth program called Dinner is Possible, and it was healthy alternative cooking and life mentoring. And so
Who got the mentoring? You or them? You taught you the lesson.
Yeah, I got a lot of mentoring out of it, that's for sure. But anyway, so we were making this, and we had the beans and the onions and all the ingredients that go into the chili, except for one, didn't have meat. But what I knew that these kids were going to be like, remember the old commercial, where's the beef? Right. And I knew that they would get there, and they would say that. So what I did was I had them taste it incrementally as I added this and I added that. So, I'm going to go ahead and do that. We just finished making black beans, so I'm adding black beans.
So you're saying there's no meat in this?
Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to have to wait and see.
Really?
So I've got the black beans that we just made, all the flavor in there. I got the pinto, the charro beans in that we just made.
Well, and easy too, because you already
Yeah.
did all the work.
Well, and
Did the
again,
chopping and
the
the.
purpose of this class is to show you the different things that you can do with rice and beans, and we'll get to the application of the rice in just a minute. So I've added those two. Now, mix them together. You know that's my thing, always mix them together. Okay, they're nicely blended.
What do you think, audience?
Oh, great.
Yes.
Great.
I'm going to add some Rotel tomatoes. Again, that's the name brand, but you can go and get it in any grocery store. They're called diced tomatoes in green chilies, and they're exactly the same thing. In fact, they're probably processed in the same manufacturing plant, but I don't know that for sure. You know me, every time you add an ingredient, mix it so that it's evenly distributed.
And you can use fresh tomatoes as well, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay, now I'm going to add.
Now, a question, if you put the fresh in, do you have to cook them, do you have to cook this longer since everything's already prepared?
Oh, no. I mean, honestly, because you've already got the black beans and the charro beans put together, you can literally make this in less than 5 minutes, and you're going to see it right here because here we are. This is live TV. There's no 5-second delay. I'm going to add a mixture of taco seasoning, a little chili powder, a little extra cumin, and a bit of salt and pepper.
And what makes chili, what seasoning makes chili?
Chili powder?
Chili powder or
Dried chilies.
cumin as well?
So, yeah.
I try to
Oh,
get
man.
him to say the
She
story.
busts me all the time. I never went to cooking
I
school.
didn't say.
And so as I started to cook, I was cooking this one day and I was making chili. And my friend Terry McSpedden, who went to the Culinary Institute of America, you know, it's the #1 culinary school in the country, he was helping me out. And he comes in, he goes, "Man, that smells really good. What are you making?" I said, "I'm making chili." I said, but Terry, it still doesn't taste like chili. I don't get it. I mean, I could smell the cumin. I could smell. He walked in the door. This is a trained culinarian. He goes, "Man, it tastes great. It just smells great." I said, "Yeah, but it doesn't taste like chili yet." And he goes, "Well, what did you add?" I said, "Onions." And I went through the whole thing, and I said, chili powder and cumin. And he said, "So what else did you do?" I said, "Well, I kept on adding chili powder." And he said, "Jim, I have news to tell you. Chili powder isn't what makes chili taste like chili.
Well, I didn't know that.
Cumin does."
Seriously.
So I added a little extra cumin, tasted it, and I was like, "Oh!"
Oh, wow.
I mean, wouldn't you think that if you wanted it to taste like chili, you'd add more chili powder? Well, chili powder are dry, pulverized chilies. It's the cumin that gives it the chili flavor. And I'm like, duh,
Right.
But and he said nobody would think of that, So anyway, so I've got the, man, I mean, if you take a look at, it is, so
Wow, it looks delicious.
when I did this with the kids in Dinner Is Possible, and I had them taste it, man, that's good. I had made cornbread, and it was just about time. I said, "Okay, get your bowls." And they said, "You didn't put the beef in there." I said, "Remember, this is healthy alternative cooking and life mentoring. So we're not having meat." "Yeah, but you got it, it's chili, you gotta have meat." I said, "Wait, excuse me. Didn't you just taste it and tell me it tasted perfect and you were salivating, your lips were smacking?" So this is healthy alternative chili. And I promise you, if we had Taste-O-Vision, you would agree with me. Not because I made it. It's very simple. We have two kinds of beans. In Chile, some people are real classic and they have to have red beans. Down in Texas, I moved here and they said Chile doesn't have beans. It's kind of like gumbo in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a little something different. This one has a couple different beans in there. But again, we're maximizing and repurposing the black beans and the pinto beans. So I've added those ingredients. Once again, I added a little extra cumin because we want to taste more like chili. A little extra chili powder. And so now what I'm going to do,
And the cornbread is,
and well, that's what we're going to do.
it's Jiffy box, right?
This
Box
is
cornbread.
Jiffy Box cornbread, which is another thing that often, you'll get in a food assistance box or bag or whatever. And look, I know that nobody makes cornbread better than grandma, and she cooks it in a cast iron skillet and everything else. But you know what? For a 52-cent box of Jiffy, and it is excellent. You know, it's excellent.
Well, and the way you cut it, I'm thinking that this is a whole pan. We'll
So,
do a whole pan.
Here, let's take this out of here so they can see it. So now you can just eat the chili if you want. Some people like it with sour cream and a little salsa, or a green onion and cheese. So today we're giving you another way of using this, because who makes a small batch of chili? Who makes a small batch of beans? That's what I'm saying. You cool them down properly. Remember, it has to be at 40 degrees, anywhere from 35 to 40 degrees. It has to be cooled down so that it's properly taken care of. And then when you reheat it, 165, and you know that you've avoided any issues with bacteria. And so now you're going to have a meal. I'm putting the chili on top of the cornbread. And I'm going to finish it with some cheese.
And yes, we put fresh garlic in there, but you don't have to use fresh garlic. You can use granulated garlic. You can use a blend. There's nothing wrong with anything you want to change. Just make it your own.
Put this in the oven, just maybe 3 or 4 minutes until the cheese melts. If you want to put it in the microwave to melt the cheese faster, it's not going to have an effect on the cornbread, which, regular bread, when you put it in there, it gets really hard and chewy. So that's it. You have fresh cornbread with a healthy non-meat chili and shredded cheese.
So we're on to our life point number 3. Do you ever wonder who is in control? I do sometimes. No, I don't. I always know that God is in control. Matthew 28:18, when Jesus came to them and said, "All authority in heaven and earth has been given to me." God knows the end from the beginning. He knows how your story starts, and he knows each step. The Bible is filled with scripture that tells us God is in control. And I think in my research, I found that there is a lot of scripture about God being in control. Psalm 22:28, God is the one who sits on the throne, and he's the ruler of all nations. Isaiah 46:10, God knows the things that are about to happen. He will accomplish what he plans to do. Psalm 46:10, God commands us to be still and know that he is God. Psalm 121, 1-3, you can find help in the Lord. He will not let your foot slip, and he never sleeps as he watches over you. And I know sometimes it feels like, hello, are you there? I'm down here. I've had moments like that, but in our heart of hearts, we know that God is there. We know there's something bigger in the world. And so I would say just dig into the Bible. If you don't know the Bible, or if you've never dug into the Bible, there's all kinds of translations. There's all kinds of pastors that you can listen to. Pastor Jason is amazing. And you can open that Bible and just go searching. There's also, you can look in topics, if there's something that you're going through. But there's something very magical, and I use that word because it's very amazing. As you start learning the Bible and you start learning the faith, and you have the faith of the mustard seed, amazing things happen in your life. And I can say that because amazing things has happened in our life. I mean, times that we've had $3 not knowing what we're gonna do, and we have $6,000 come in. It's been an amazing ride, but it's because we had the faith to believe that God was going to provide, and we didn't go try to find the answer. We didn't go say, oh, we can go find the answer, we can go create it. You have to believe that God is in control, and that's where you're going to find your end result, and that's where you're going to find that he is in control, and you can always remember that.
And the Bible is full of promises. It's truth, it's fact, and it's promises. And I remember hearing a pastor one time, years and years ago, actually it was the pastor's wife, when she got up there in the pulpit, and she said, at challenging times I used to ask God why, and God jumped right back at me and said, don't ask why, ask when. And that's when you know he's in control.
Amen. Amen.
So this one's quick and easy because we've made beans, we've made rice, and so now You get a flour tortilla or a corn tortilla, and you make a taco.
Wow.
This is going to take all.
Who doesn't like tacos?
This is going to take a couple of seconds. I've got, now you can use the chili if you want. You can use either one of the beans. I mean, at that point, do you care whether it's black beans or charro beans? So I made a mixture here. No, actually, excuse me, I stand corrected. I decided I was going to use the chili. And just so I don't have to show you how to make a taco, but I'm going to anyway. So I'm going to put in the chili. I'm going to put in some rice.
It's amazing how you can make tacos, you can make a burrito with this, you can make a quesadilla with this. It's very versatile.
Yes.
I'm going to add just some straight taco seasoning. You know, you can go to the grocery store and either buy it in a bottle or buy it in the little packets next to where they have the, chili seasoning and all those kind of things. And I'm just, I like taco seasoning, so I'm going to bump this up just a little bit. Now remember, the chili has plenty of seasoning, but I don't know, I'm a seasoning and a sauce and condiment guy. So I'm going to.
Well, that's what makes your food taste so good.
Well, thank you. Did anybody pay you to say that?
No.
So I got some rice, I got the chili. I'm going to add some shredded cheese.
I wish I was funny to everybody as I am to our audience members.
And it's your choice whether you want to heat it up just as is, and then add the sauce. Like I like to just add, every bite I'll add a little sauce, but just for the sake of argument, I will put some in here.
And you've made a mean salsa too, which is really simple to make, especially living in the country and you have a lot of, maybe you're growing your own tomatoes or something like that.
Absolutely.
Making your own salsa. There's also a community garden for anybody that does not know. There's a community garden. I know we have one in Grapeland. And we went last year and it was pretty much after school was over, they just let everything die. So we started, because the kids are out of school, they don't need to let it die.
Who does the community garden?
The students.
Yeah, the agricultural students. So they build this really nice garden, and it's all for the pickings of the community,
Wow.
And so we went through last year. We got here. We were kind of cruising around and just trying to find out things about the city. And we drove down this one street, and we see this is August, and this was an abandoned garden. And we went out there. It's like, oh, so I started picking all of the not the bad ones, but the turned and partially shriveled tomatoes and the peppers and
Which is like dried tomatoes.
sun-dried tomatoes.
Sun-dried
Yeah,
tomatoes.
they are.
That's
So
what
they have
it
more
is.
flavor. And so we picked so many. It was left, it was gone. And I don't know about you. John 15 is all about the vine, and I don't think that God created all these vegetables and fruits so they would die on the vine. And so we picked them all, and I made so many quarts of marinara sauce and salsa and stewed tomatoes, just that alone. So again, it's using what God's given us. And so I can't do any more with this except put it in the oven and heat it. But I mean, it's just simple. It took me 2 minutes because we've made the beans, we've made the rice, we've made the chili, and you sprinkle a little bit of cheese and salsa on there, and there you have it. So that is the taco.
You'll hear a lot of noise in the background. That's because people are busy. They're busy working. They're getting all of the participants that are in the line to get their food. They're helping them. So you hear a lot of banging doors, and because they're working furiously while we're in here cooking for y'all. So excuse their slamming of doors.
Okay. Well, last but not least.
Let me tell them today's verse.
Oh, sorry.
It's Psalm 12:7. I always try to pick the date. You, Lord, will keep us. You will forever guard us from this generation. It's December 7th, so I picked 12:7. Get that? And to recap, our 3 life points are: point 1, we rely on God because He knows the plan. Point number 2, we celebrate Christmas because Jesus is the reason for the season. Ooh, that's a lot to say, but you want to grab onto that. And point number 3, we know God is in control because there are countless scriptures that tell us. And so for this last one, I'd like for our audience participant, one of our audience participants to come up and assist. Would you like to come
This
up
is-
and
Why,
say?
sure.
This is simple. Not that all you can do is something that's simple, but it's so simple. And once again, everything is prepared except,
Okay.
so this is a stuffed bell, and say hello, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Lauren.
She is loyal, coming to all these classes and to help out with the food pantry, the Elkhart Food Pantry.
And
So-
really quickly, I want to ask you, you were in your car, so you were in your car and you decided to come inside and assist. So what
Absolutely.
made you decide to come inside and assist?
To give back to my community, and when I saw the cooking classes, I just, man, what an advantage, because like you said, you're taking things that a lot of people and myself have in my pantry, because I'm living off the food pantry food, but I was running out of ideas and getting tired of the same thing over and over, and you just reinvented everything. For I know me and many others, and I'm just blessed with this program.
Well, thank you.
So yes.
Well, you know what I saw when I came in? You're so invigorated now.
Yes.
Being out of your car, I saw you just jumping in there, and she ran in and said, "When's the class?" And, I mean, you're light. You're a different
Thank you.
person, and
Yes,
so I think that's a big key, is like being able to get out of your situation and look out the
Yes.
other direction instead of
Absolutely.
sitting and saying, "This is all I have," looking and saying, "This is my end, this is my beginning."
Absolutely.
And so my question to you is, where are you going to take this? Because now you're invigorated to do something.
Yes.
So
Oh, I share what I learned here from the food bank to this class with anybody I come in contact with, because I know people struggle and are in the same spot that I was. You know, and I want others to be able to get out of that spot.
You know, and these recipes today, they're a little more specific with the seasonings because it's all kind of a Latin influence. But when I do these classes, I'll say that, hey, I may have used Cajun seasoning or oregano, but just go, the main thing is you don't just take a can of corn and dump a can of corn and cook it. That's, you know, that's how think out of the can. It's not a can of beans, do something with it. So if you don't have, you know, Cajun seasoning, or you don't have oregano or whatever, look in your pantry and just say, you know, I think that maybe the dry basil or the dry parsley or dry dill might, you know, it's going to enhance the flavor. And that's the bottom line to all this, enhancing the flavor. So this is very simple. We're going to stuff a bell pepper. And I know that people know about stuffed bell peppers, but here again, we have the beans, we have the rice, and you know,
and you received if you came to the food bank today, you received these peppers, and these are foreign peppers to everyone. What do I do with these? And Tim and I said, oh, these are amazing, because we use these a lot when we do a lot of catering. We use these for our clients.
Nice.
so you're going to mix the rice and the beans. Yeah, there's your bowl. You can mix it in there. You're going to mix the rice and the beans, and then you're going to stuff the bell pepper and just put the cheese on top.
Okay, you
I
go
mean,
for it, girl.
you know,
Okay, so
the hardest part of this is cutting the bell pepper in half and taking the ribs and the seeds out. I mean, that's really it.
So pour all it in there?
Yes.
Okay. It smells so delicious. Oh, in here?
Yes.
Okay. And
Oh, look at
Yes,
this.
yeah.
all right. Oh,
The ratio is up to you. It's just like when you do rice and beans. You know, some people like it 50-50. Some people, you know, when I have gumbo as an example, I don't like very much rice in it. I want enough just so it's there and it gives it a little more body. But that's just me. So, you know, right here we have 50-50 equal parts of the beans and the rice. And then that's going to go in there. You want to put it into an oven-proof dish of some sort. And if you notice, mine has foil. And the reason it has foil is because I can crumble up the foil and throw it away and not have to use a lot of elbow grease at the end by scrubbing that pan.
And look at the technique.
And, you know, there's some left over. And then, you know, you can top it with a little bit of cheese.
That is beautiful. I'm excited. Oh,
That's okay.
That's all right.
yeah.
See, again, that's what I love about the foil, because, you know, when the cheese
Yes,
melts
that's
on the pan, you know how hard it is to take cheese off of a pan when it's baked on there.
Ooh.
And so this is what it looks like.
So how
Nice
long?
full-
Put that in there.
So you're gonna put that in a 350 degree oven, and you know the main thing is you want to get the stuffing to about 150 degrees, 155 degrees, and also you want to see that the bell pepper has started to cook instead of having that raw that raw state.
So we have, these
These are Kim's creations. She makes these for me all the time, and I love them.
This is hummus with black olives. So sometimes if you get chickpeas, you can make hummus with it, which is delicious and it's very healthy. This is a salad type. It has cream cheese. It has arugula, which you can use lettuce as well. But I wanted a little more flavor, and Italian seasoning. This is amazing as well. And then the hummus, just on a plain.
And those are served raw. You can eat these baby bell peppers raw.
And this one is bacon and cheddar. And you just bake it in the oven. I think I baked it 350 for 7 minutes. So it's easy, it's fast, and you use these amazing little peppers. They're delicious. Would you like to try one?
Certainly. Thank you.
That wasn't. We didn't practice that.
This is real TV.
So what are our do our recap of all of our recipes.
So our recap: we made Cuban black beans with canned beans, but you can use the dry beans. Just remember that you want to rinse them, and you want to sift them for these little tiny pebbles, and then soak them before you cook them. We did charro beans, which had a little more flavor. Again, we use canned beans, but you can use the dry beans, and you have to rinse them and soak them. We did chili. We blended the two beans, and we added a few things: Rotel tomatoes, or what they call diced chilies, and diced pepper, diced tomatoes and chilies with a little bit of extra seasoning. We put the chili on top of cornbread. It was Jiffy cornbread, I'll tell you right now, and then topped it with cheese, so you had your own little meal there. And then we made tacos out of all this because we already had the beans. We made the chili out of the beans. We had rice, and we just added a little bit of salsa and taco seasoning. And finally, we finished with stuffed bell pepper, and that took all of just cutting the pepper in half, taking the seeds out, taking the ribs out, and stuffing it with the items that you already had.
Think out of the can.
Think out of the can.
And thank you for doing that.
Thank you for having me. That's beautiful, guys. That was awesome.